All right. Testy, testy, test. Test, test, testo. Test, testy, test. All right. There we are. Testy, testy, test. Hi, gang. Welcome to this final part of the Solve4X challenge. Just before I get going, g'day, Cynthia. Just if you could let me know, you can see me, you can hear me, and you can see the whiteboard with the Solve4X graphic. Hi, Paul. Good morning. Just making sure that everybody can hear me and see me and everything. So we'll just, if you could let us know in the chat. Thank you. Fantastico. All right. Good stuff. Good, 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 good. All right. Looking forward to today. So let's just remind ourselves of where we are at and when we started off with the Solve4X challenge. So if we look at the first thing that we wanted to do was we sorted our pains, gains, and jobs to be done, and we sorted them in terms of value. Then what I asked you was to come up with your number one pain. And I wanted you to come up with 3 different solutions. So ultimately, I wanted you to come up with 3. And I gave you some ways of doing that. The first one is I talked about obvious solutions. So talked about, the standard good old solutions for that number one pain in your particular marketplace, and to see how many you could find and to make a note of that. And it's been interesting during the week to get your feedback on that. And some of you found lots, some of you didn't find many. I think most people found at least 3, which is great because that's what we wanted by the end of the process. Then, and this may have been a bit weird to you, but on day 3, I asked you to look for non-traditional solutions, unconventional solutions to solving the problem, because often, wow solutions, magic solutions, solutions that can be done quickly and that are a bit outside the mainstream are things that you can possibly utilize. And it's well worth searching for those and having a look for those as well. So that's definitely something that we wanted to look at as well. And some of you found variations. Some of you found and learned a valuable marketing lesson where you found, wow, they're saying this is secret or underground, but it's actually just a normal secret that's it's not a secret really. That's how everybody else solves it as well. So that's good because you saw some marketing examples as well, which is fantastic. Then finally, oops, on day 4, aka yesterday, I asked you to then take as many solutions as you found, and hopefully you found at least 3, and it could be a mixture of unconventional and conventional, as long as there were 3 that you could find at least 3. Some of you found way more than that. That's cool. And make sure that you did that. And then we did a matrix based on giving votes effectively of how fast the solution was, how cheap the solution is, how easy the solution is, and how unusual the solution is. The more unusual, the more points. And then based on that, I'm hoping that you have arrived here today with a winner. Okay, so that then I'm going to show you what we are going to do with that winning based on the matrix solution. Okay, that we're going to do. And the whole point of this is there's a number of layers to this process. One is to just keep you moving forward. I think a lot of you have found that they've been far more successful in this challenge compared to other challenges because we're just taking nice little bite-sized incremental steps forward. and you found that you can dedicate 25 minutes to starting a new business, and that you can do that, and that we're building on skills that we have learnt and that we've been working and we've been practicing, and having rituals and all of those sorts of things as well. Right, so that is a cool thing as well. All right, so we're at that point. So today, the end goal of this is that I want to outline a piece of content based on the pain that let me rephrase, the solution to the pain that you have, that you've discovered, that one from your matrix. Okay. And one of the reasons that we did the matrix, why do a matrix? Well, honestly, it's just a decision-making tool. It's to help you feel better about making the decision, because the science tells us that once you make a decision that you're comfortable with, cool things happen. All right. And that is really important. So we have our number one pain. I've got the corporate colors going today. Nice. So we've got our number one pain, and then based on the matrix, today we have our favorite solution. So based on, and that was, and let's just put that there, based on matrix decision. And the cool thing about all this, and it's worth really emphasizing to everybody, that because we've picked a fun market for practice, you really shouldn't be feeling any pressure about this. You should just be following the process, because you're learning these strategies. And so that is cool too, right? Because it takes the pressure off. So based on the matrix, we have a favorite solution. So now what I want to do is I want to give you a couple of sessions worth of work to help work on the solution. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. So I can't spell anyway. So we're going to do that. Okay, now I want to emphasize just a couple of things before we start. Use a timer. I know I bang on about it, but it's really, really important. You can see I've got my timer always sits here ready and waiting to go. I like a nice physical timer. It's always there. I use it constantly. All right, so it's very important that you use a timer, particularly here, because it's so easy to run away and get trapped in research land. I've seen students, literally, people who've paid me literally $10,000 for individual coaching. They'll disappear for 3 months. I won't hear from them. Oh, where have you been? Oh, I've been researching my topic or researching my market. And it's a shame, because really, there is no money to be made in research. Okay, now that doesn't mean research is important. It just means that we need to be strategic about it, and we need to be strategic, and we need to be tactical about it as well. And that's really what I've been trying to teach you this week, so that we've gone through and we've come up with we've got our favorite solution based on what the matrix has told us the favorite solution is, no more, no less. And now we're going to figure out what to do with that solution. Whoa, Brian, $5. Thank you. I'm going to High Point, or Knife Point, as the locals call it. So I might go for the I might go to the ramen shop today. So we might change it up. So thank you very much. By the way, guys, do you like my my hoodie? It's a unique piece. It's a full-on piece of art done, like the whole, like if you stood together, it's a whole thing of art. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it. All right, here we go. Okay. So Gonna put, so we're going to, what I'm hoping that you can do, I want to test you guys. We've been doing 25-minute sessions. I want to stretch you here at the end of the week to see if you can schedule in a 50-minute session. Now, I know for some of you, this might mean that you do it on the weekend. That's okay. That's cool. But I want to stretch you a little bit. Part of my job as a coach is to stretch you. So when you feel comfortable doing something, you know, it's time to see if we can just stretch a little bit. So we're going to stretch a little bit, and I'm actually going to design a 50-minute session for you. And so I deliberately left it to day 5. So because I know for some of you, that means that you've got the Friday, you've got the Saturday and the Sunday before. On Sunday, as always, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, I issue the next challenge for the following week. So we do that as well. All right. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to do a 50-minute session today. Now, let me just jot down what we're going to do. We're going to do 25 minutes of research, but a specific type of research. One, though, that you've practiced and you didn't know. Then we have a 5-minute break. Very important, and it's very important to use a timer for the break. It's just a chance for you to stretch your legs, 1 round of Clash Royale, whatever, but you must use a timer. But it's very important to have this break, okay? And then I'm going to get you to do a 10-minute free write. And again, I'm going to go and explain all of these steps. I'm just jotting them down for you so you know how this session breaks out. And then finally, after your free write, we're going to do 10 minutes. Oh, thank you, Gene. You're my favorite. Brian's like my mega favorite. He's like my best buddy and pal. 10-minute one. But Gene, you're a great friend. Thank you. Mind map. Here we are. And we're going to do a mind map. Now, what's cool about this little, this whole little approach here is, as I use the metaphor of a Post-it note, this is a typical 50-minute session that I will do when I'm trying to create any piece of content. Okay, this is exact. So, you know, and the type of content in particular here that this sort of session doesn't notice it doesn't finish the content. Notice it doesn't even write the content, but this is my research planning part of the content, and it's built on, right? We've been building towards this. You've been finding sites, you've been finding solutions, you've been keeping track of them all for the last 4 days. And now I'm going to show you how to take that to the next step. So before I do any blog post, or, you know, obviously this looks all extraordinarily scripted and, you know, planned to the nth degree. But the reality is this is how I do most content. You know, I never don't do, even though it may not seem like it sometimes, anytime, live stream, whatever, I do have a plan. In fact, that's that one for today, for example. All right. So I do, and I go through this process. And what's great about this process is, notice I'm not putting pressure on myself to complete a piece of content. In this day and age of instant publishing, instant broadcasting, instant audio, instant everything, there is a super temptation to publish content just straight away, right? Whereas sometimes if we just took a couple of little steps in between, we can make it so much better. And we can make it better for the high quick starts. We can make it better for the high fact finders, for everybody. Okay. And this process, because we're not just taught how to do great, because certainly content, which is any report or any assignment or any bit of homework that you had to submit during school, we were taught 100% the wrong way to go about doing that. And which is such a shame. So let's correct that now and let's do it the right way. So 25 minutes research, 5 minutes break, 10 minutes free write, 10 minutes mind map. And what we're effectively doing here is preparing to create content. And the emphasis is on the word preparing. Yeah, I didn't do homework either, Cirrus. So, so that's exactly high quick starts, shortcuts to the max, right? So here we go. Let's break down these 4 elements so that we know what we're doing, okay? So 25 minutes of research. What are we doing in that 25 minutes of research? We're researching something specific. As we're going back, you've found solutions, right? And we picked your favorite solution. Now I want you to go back and I want to review the solution and associate. You probably found for a particular type of solution, there were many different websites or YouTube videos or whatever. I want you to review that material with a 25-minute timer, but I want you to review it with a very specific goal in mind. And that is to find wow facts. Wow facts from our very first drill that we ever did in this challenge cycle, the wow facts drill. There's a reason why we've done it. Okay, so just as a reminder, what's a wow fact? It's a fact, and this was the concept created by Gary Halbert, is anything that makes you go, wow, or oh, really? Just anything that causes an emotional reaction of surprise, and often it's a combination of surprise and recognition, and yeah, it's like connecting. It's like 2 dots have never been connected in your brain, and this fact connects those 2 dots. Anything that makes you do that is a wow fact. And I want you to jot it down, right? I want you to make a note of it. Now, typically, the way I do it, as always, is a good old 3x5 card. And I will literally write down the wow fact. Now, a lot of high fact finders go, do you write down the where you found it and all that sort of stuff? Nah, because you remember, right? This is for short-term work, so it's not like you're going to have to research this. We're not doing an academic thesis here. We're not doing a university or college paper here, right? We're just noting down wow facts, and we do that for a couple of really key reasons. One is by attuning to our wow facts in our research, we are doing active as opposed to passive research. So much research. Get ready for this. This is a bit of theater. All right. This is a bit of street theater. So you have to watch the small video of me here, right? A lot of people do research like this. Click, click, click. Right? It's like they're sitting back on the couch watching a TV. Okay, it's like, they're doing research like they're, just reading a book for enjoyment. Even that would be better, but most people aren't, right? They're just sitting there almost in a zombie-like state going through research. And this particularly happens if you're not using a timer and you don't have any constraints on you. You tend to get passive and you tend to do that. And what happens, your brain doesn't absorb the material because it's just, oh, cool, I'm in entertainment mode, great. And there's a time for entertainment mode. It's when Housewives of Atlanta are on, but not while we're doing research. So by really being open, attentive, and having the radar there, plus knowing you're working to a 25-minute clock, it brings focus. You move from passive research to active research. And that is key, because even though you're writing down wow facts, and who knows how many wow facts, there are sessions where I might get 1 wow fact out of 25 minutes. That's okay. That's cool. As long as I was paying attention, right? Because what it's also doing, and this is key, is it's actually, so first of all, it makes you be an active research participant because you're researching to a clock and you're looking for specific things. Any fact or any part of the process or anything that just makes you go, huh, or, oh, that's strange, or oh, that's weird. And yeah, some of you, Linda points out, oh, wow, I've been collecting some wow facts this week. Perfect. That's why I asked you to keep an eye out for them, right? Because you never know where you're going to use them. Well, surprise, now we're going to use them. So we've got those, we're collecting those wow facts about this particular solution, which is our favorite solution for, remember, never forget why we're doing this. We're trying to help people solve the #1 pay point for our fun practice market. All right, that's why we're doing it. So that's point 1. Point 2 is you are actually fueling your brain, right? And I mean that as a metaphor, is that you are actually priming the pump. By doing active research, when we take a break, which is crucial, and then we do a 10-minute free write followed by a 10-minute mind map, we've actually activated all the parts of the brain that we can bring to bear in a far more scientific and powerful way. This is not woo-woo. This is not any sort of, hippie stuff. Not that I've got anything against hippies. Love you guys. Peace. It's all about understanding peak brain research and the way we learn and the way we work. And if we prime doing this 25 minutes of active research, then we've effectively fueled the car ready. And then what we have to do is we have to take a break. We have to step up. We have to physically move our bodies. We have to move away from the computer or the pen and paper or whatever you're actually using. And for a 5-minute period, do something completely different. Your brain must be occupied elsewhere, because that allows the incredible processing part of your brain, which has no way of communicating with you. It has 0 ways of communicating with you, but it's revelate. This part of the brain works because it's the part of the brain that delivers those insights in the shower. It's the part of the brain that just pops out with a great piece of sentence that you think, oh, wow, I can use that as a headline. We can actually use this part of the brain deliberately. And what's happened with creators over time have sort of naturally figured this out. And it is a key element. Sirius asked a great question. Is the 20-minute nap rest effective? In this case, absolutely not. It's detrimental. That's a whole new thing. And it's not something I can cover today because that deserves its own lecture. There's so much. Just do specifically what I say for today. Okay, just do this exactly as I like it, because you'll blow yourself away with what you're able to produce. If you've ever struggled to create content before, you're about to be blown away. Okay, so just do it exactly as I say it. There is a huge spot for naps, although the 20-minute nap has now scientifically been proven not to be the ideal time, but that's a thing for another time. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is, after our break, which engages that, let's call it, it's not called this, but let's call it, because I think people get it, the subconscious part of your brain to actually start processing. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do a 10-minute free write. And you are just going to literally, and let's remember our free write rules. Okay, we set a timer for 10 minutes. We use pen and paper. Cannot type. You are not allowed to type. You use pen and paper. And the final rule is you are not allowed to stop writing for the 10 minutes. You must continually write on the paper. If you get stuck and you have to write blah, 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 GZ sucks, this is ridiculous, I don't care what you write as long as you continue to write, because what inevitably happens, particularly in a 10-minute session, is your brain goes, oh gosh, Jane's serious about this. I'm going to, okay, I'll give her some stuff. That part of the brain, that massive processor, which can't communicate, will deliver material to you. Nothing is surer. So you will do 10-minute free write, and specifically your 10-minute free write will be about everything that you've learnt about the solution. And here's the thing. I think you're going to surprise and stun yourself about how much you've absorbed over the past 4 days. If you've done the exercises exactly as I've described them, and you've done your proper fueling up and you've taken your 5-minute break, I think you will be stunned with what you have actually learned and absorbed. Okay. Then finally, once we've done our 10-minute free write, you might just take a minute or two just to circle any key points, but that's fine. That's all I want you to do. But remember, 10 minutes writing, pen and paper, must write all the time. Then finally, we're going to do a mind map. Now, let me just draw this out because a lot of you are familiar, particularly Commonwealth countries in particular, are familiar with mind maps, but there are many people who are not familiar with mind maps either. Typically what people are very familiar with is like if they're going to do an article, they're very familiar with the concept of outlining because we were taught this at school, right? So we have, our point 1 here, point 2 here, point 2A here, and so on and so forth. And we try to get all of the ideas down in this outline form. Okay. Trouble is, what we now know for absolute scientific fact is your brain doesn't work like that. Your brain is an association machine. It literally, roughly speaking, hopefully there's no neuroscientists that are having a heart attack. It's so it works through neurons making random connections. So, and a mind map looks, funnily enough, very much like how your brain works. Literally coming up with concepts and coming up with ideas. Okay, it's sort of, you may have heard of free association. Some of you may have heard of free association. It's similar-ish to that. The challenge with free association is that it's verbal, right? And again, you do this with pen and paper. I'm doing this on an iPad because so you guys can see it, but you do this on a pen and paper. So we've done our free write, okay? And our free write is all about what I have learnt about the solution to our number one pain. So we've done that free write for the 10 minutes. Then we're going to use a timer, and for 10 minutes, we're going to do a mind map. Now, I've done this in previous videos, but I'll just give you a quick example of a mind map because I think people, there's a couple of things that I think if you see it happen as opposed to just me explain it to you, I think it works a little bit better. So, for example, if my topic was the solution was correct seasoning for making sausages. Because of those of you who've been following along, the number one pain point, the actual real scientific differentiation, as we've all learnt together, is the seasoning that you use for making sausages is the big difference between a sausage that tastes awesome and a sausage which is a bit boring. So you always start off with a mind map. Yeah, no cilantro. You've got it. Exactly right. Never. That's only for the Sheboygan though, right? You can use cilantro, but you just never use it in the Sheboygan. I mean, who doesn't know that, right? So this is a mind map, right? We start in the center of the paper with our topic, seasoning for making sausage. So the first thing that immediately jumps into my mind is types of, what are the core topics here? Types of sausage, because the seasoning really is what differentiates a lot of the different types of sausages. Types of sausages, types of seasoning is another one. Now I'm working pretty fast. There's no rule that says you can't, oh, by the way, pro tip, write out what the thing is first. And the idea with a mind map is to just typically, if I was being a mind map pendant, which I'm not, typically Tony Bazan says use a picture or a single word as your association, but it's cool. But the key point is to take advantage of the way your brain works. So immediately when I thought types of sausage, types of seasoning, how to season. How to season comes into it. And then immediately when I've thought of that, I've thought of tasting, measuring, do's and don'ts with seasoning. Right, the moment I've run out of a particular topic, I'll immediately jump to one of the other topics. So the other things, see, thank you, Nancy. Fresh or dried herbs, nice. Right, so the idea is to just, roll with your brain, how your brain works. So types of sausage, Sheboygan. I can't spell it, but hey, Boygan, bratwurst. I can't think of anything right now. So I'm just going to move on. Cilantro. Thyme. Mixed. Strange. So I've got a few different points here, and I'll keep going. And so we've got types of sausage, types of seasoning, how to season. Length of time is probably a big one. How long to season. Now, I want to point out here that I know nothing about sausage making. I really don't, except for the brief periods of time that you guys have put in. Oh, thank you. I'm getting some great suggestions. Frankfurt. Type of casing. Oh, Ledeur. Does that affect it? Casings. Because remember, never forget, right? My problem, right? The solution to the pain of I can't get my sausages to taste like the professionals is the reality is it's seasoning, right? It's the seasoning. That's what I have determined based on my 25 minutes of research. That is what the number one issue is. So now I'm relating everything to that. So yeah, casings in and of themselves don't make they're not the number one problem. But do casings make a difference to seasoning? Could be a great question. See how that works? So again, we're relating everything back. Oh, the kielbasa. How can I not? How can I not remember the kielbasa sausage? Tenacious D. All right. Never think about kielbasa sausages in any other way. So these are all the things, right? And that is just the coarseness of grind. There's another one. See how this works, though? By jumping around and keeping our way. See, if I tried, here's the thing. If I had tried to do what we've been taught in school, to outline these and go from A to Z, from 1 to 3 in order like we're taught at school, There's no way in just a couple of minutes, and it's taken us a lot longer because I've been talking you through it. Look at all this. Every single one of these is a potential article. It's a potential piece of content. It's a potential research project. It's could be a potential product even. Who knows? But it's allowing me to very quickly brain dump down those ideas into something that we can then, by the way, we could look at this and we could say which of these is the most relevant. So we could start to put them in an order. So the types of sausage, you know, and often you'll start with some of the order, the types of sausage, types of seasoning, you know, how to season. You actually are able to deliver a bit of an outline, but just by doing it a mind map and allowing yourself to use the big sheet of paper with pen and paper, you are literally getting your brain to deliver content in the best possible way. And often a big problem when people are going to create pieces of content is that they get stuck. They go, okay, because they don't even outline. They sit there with a blank piece of page, or they turn on the video camera and go, hi guys, hi fam. Don't forget to like and subscribe. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's 67 of you watching and there's only 20 thumbs. What's going on with that? Come on. Come on, hit me with some love. Hit the thumb. Slap that subscription button. Hit that bell. That'd be awesome. It works really, really well. And again, we're just not taught to do this. So let's just rehash so that you know exactly what we're doing for our final session. It's a 50-minute session. So the first thing you got to do is you've got to schedule yourself a 50-minute period of time. Okay. So that's a chunk of time for a lot of people. So you need to look at the next 2 or 3 days and go, where can I get 50 minutes of uninterrupted time where I can work on this with my timer? So that's the very first step. Okay. You've got to do that. Then with a timer, we're doing 25 minutes of research. Specifically, we're reviewing all of our links to the solution. In our case that we did the mind map for, it was seasoning secrets, right? It was seasoning is the number one thing that differentiates a professional sausage maker to the amateur bland sausage. And so that's the thing that we're going to be focusing on helping people with, right? Because that's the number one pain in the sausage making market is why can't I get my sausages to taste like the professionals, right? That is a big deal. Bixby, why are you? Just calm down, Bixby. No, I can't. Bloody Samsung, listening into everything. So will you stop? So, okay, 25 minutes research. Wow facts. Remember, I taught you 2 key things. One is being active research and that we're priming the pump. Then, using a timer, we're going to spend 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Break. You must get up, physically get up from your seat, move somewhere else. You must literally physically change location. Use a timer though, because I don't want you floating off and never coming back, and give yourself 5 minutes, because what that does is by doing something else, and it should be something fun, ideally, or a walk, go get yourself a drink of water, do whatever you need to do, right? But that engages the powerful, powerful processor that's hidden in your brain, okay? Then we're going to come back and we're going to hit the clock for 10 minutes and we're going to do a free write, all of just what we're going to dump on paper, what we know about seasoning and sausages. Obviously not seasoning and sausages for you, whatever it is for your number one solution to the pain point. You're going to write about everything that you know about sausage and seasoning, because you're going to start releasing that, because free writing is a way to be able to access that supercomputer part of your brain, which traditionally has no other way to communicate with you other than to try catch you when you're not thinking about things, right? So we can deliberately activate and use that part of the brain now. And again, this is not woo-woo. This is all hard science. All right. Then finally, we're going to set our timer again for 10 minutes, and we are going to do a mind map, and we're going to break down all the core topics, and we're going to jump from spot to spot just as our brain comes up with things. And if you find yourself stuck like I did, like with the different types of sausages, right? I moved on, and then when something popped into my head, boom, I went back and just dropped it in there, right? So when you dry out, do another thing. You don't have to be writing all the time. It's not the same sort of frenzy, but you do want to, you never want to find yourself getting stuck. You just want to move to another part of the strand and break it down, you know? So for example, where was there, oh yeah, here's one. So Dan suggested coarseness of grind. So what's that? That could be types of grinding. Equipment. Techniques. There might be different techniques. How to measure. I know nothing about this stuff, but it's just, again, mind map is just such a great way of getting this down. And, you know, this could be an entire, you know, this could be the start potentially down the track of an entire product or an ebook, or who knows what it is. And that's for another time. But for right now, to finish off Solve4X, by the end of this, ready for next week, if you've got your mind map. And what's great is feel free to come back to the mind map. This is a living document. It's not cast in stone. You know, if you think of something the following day, absolutely come back and have a look at it, refresh it, do all of those sorts of things, right? Feel free to do all of those things, right? It's a living document. It's designed to work and be edited and adjusted and all those sorts of things. So make sure that you do that as well. And then we'll be very primed for the next part of the challenge, which advertisement time will be on at 8:30 p.m. Sunday, Eastern USA time. And I'll be setting you your next challenge, as I do every week, and look forward to it. And again, please give feedback in the Facebook group. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, do a search for All New Challenge. Make sure you join us there. And can't wait to work with you on Sunday. Have fun with this. This really is, you know, one of the best things about this process is once you learn how to do these things, it's a lot more fun, because you take a lot of this, you know, a huge part of the stress of content creation is we've all had many times where we have had a, you know, a situation where we've just stared at the blank sheet of paper, right? Particularly at school, you know, and we just get this inverted commas writer's block or content block. What am I going to write? There's this thing. Whereas if we actually just divided down our time and chunked it down and worked the way our brain is actually designed to work, all of a sudden it comes from a terrifying activity to something that's quite fun. And that is really, really important. So with that, thank you very much. Roland, thank you very much for the $2. Everybody, you can go. But Roland, if you'd like to ask that question, go for it. Just pop it in the chat and I'll do my best to answer. And, if anybody else has any questions, feel free. But that's the core of it. You can go, right? Go off and do your work and have fun. All right. So thanks very much. Oh, and if you so choose, just what's been the thing that's impacted you most this particular lesson? If there's something that's really jumped out, love that too. So if you've got questions, Roland, ask away. Get it? See what I did there? Ask away. And thanks. But other than that, off you go. Go. I'm just waiting for Roland to type in his question. Oh, Leslie, thank you. Leslie's my favorite. Does the mind map part need to be handwritten, or can we use our mind map program? I really, 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 really prefer you to handwrite it, right? Because, and again, science backs me up on it. There are some iPad apps which have a very physical element to it, where you're manipulating the mind map and you're doing the hand and working all that sort of stuff. But for most people, if you're talking about using a mouse and doing a mind map on a computer, no bueno, right? No good. Needs to be done pen and paper style, right? Because that physical action is something genetically that is at a core part of our brain, and typing and mice has been around for 40 years. And that's really key. There was a muck up for registrations with the Ask MC. I'm probably not going to be able to help you with that, Roland, but if you contact Ask Support, they'll probably be able to help you with that. I don't have access to that info. Yeah, sorry about that. I love the way mind mapping triggers stuff you didn't know you knew. Yes, zooming into a small section of a project and doing a mind map. So much opens up. Fantastic. All right. So Roland, send me an email to ed@nichestyleacademy.com and I'll see what I can do. I'm not sure there's much I can do, but see what you can do. All right, great stuff. Oh, well, if they have, that's awesome. That's great. But I did send out an email to everybody after the assignment. So if you didn't receive that email, you weren't on my list. So you may need to get them to get in touch with me, because the most recent list I've had, I've emailed everybody. So just, yeah, you might have to sorry, but, and I hate to make you work for it, but get them to contact me to confirm, because I've got the most recent list. Okay, fantastic. All right. Speak soon, everybody.